Welcome to this deep dive into one of the most profound and mysterious visions in the Bible, the Valley of Dry Bones, described in Ezekiel 37:114. Imagine a valley stretching as far as the eye can see, covered with dry, lifeless bones. This vision was given to Ezekiel at a time when Israel was in exile, demoralized, and seemingly beyond hope. God asked Ezekiel, "Son of man, can these bones live?" At first glance, it seems impossible. Yet God's question isn't about the bones. It's about faith, restoration, and divine power. In this video, we'll explore every detail of this vision, uncover its meaning for people of Israel, its spiritual symbolism, and how it speaks to every believer even today. By the end, you'll not only understand the prophecy, but also grasp the timeless message of hope, revival, and God's transformative power. To fully understand the vision, we first need to know Ezekiel. Ezekiel was both a prophet and a priest living during the Babylonian exile around 593 BC. He was among the first group of Israelites deported from Jerusalem after Nebuchadnezzar conquered the city. Ezekiel's life was marked by obedience, divine visions, and dramatic prophetic actions. God often used him to communicate messages through vivid symbols, sometimes involving bizarre or unsettling imagery. The Valley of Dry Bones is one of his most famous visions, but it's not just a story. It's a message meant to awaken faith in hopeless circumstances. This context is critical. The Israelites had lost their city, their temple, and their sense of purpose. They were scattered, demoralized, and grieving. Into this despair, God brought Ezekiel's vision as a message of hope, showing that even the most hopeless situation can be restored through his power. Ezekiel's vision begins with sobering sight, a valley full of bones. But these are not just any bones. They're completely dry, scattered, and lifeless. God asked Ezekiel, "Can these bones live?" Ezekiel could only respond with honesty, "Sovereign Lord, you alone know." This exchange is powerful. It shows that sometimes the possibility of restoration is beyond human understanding. The vision continues as God commands Ezekiel to prophesy to the bones. As Ezekiel speaks, miraculous events unfold. The bones start to rattle. They come together, tendons and flesh appear, and finally, breath enters them. At this moment, what seemed impossible becomes reality. The valley transforms from a graveyard despair into a living army, a testament to God's power to revive what is dead, and a foreshadowing of spiritual revival. The core of this vision is not just what Ezekiel saw, but what he did. God commanded, "Prophesy to these bones and say to them, 'Dry bones, hear the word of the Lord.'" This act teaches us a critical lesson. Words of faith and obedience have power. Ezekiel's prophecy wasn't magical. It was an act of trust in God's command. As he spoke, the bones came together, sinews and flesh formed, and the breath of life revived them. Spiritually, this shows us that even in situations that appear lifeless, our relationships, finances, health, or faith, God can bring life if we speak his truth with faith. The bones moving to life symbolize restoration, hope, and renewal that comes from God's intervention. Many wonder, what do these bones symbolize? Scholars agree that they represent the people of Israel, scattered, hopeless, and cut off from their homeland. But beyond that, they symbolize spiritual death, despair, and situations in our lives where hope seems gone. God's message through this vision is clear. No matter how broken or scattered things appear, restoration is possible. Just as God promised Israel a future, he promises us personal revival. This vision also serves as a reminder that God's plans often work in ways we cannot comprehend. What is dead and scattered today may be tomorrow's testimony of life and glory. The Valley of Dry Bones is not only a historical vision, but also a theological message about God's power to restore life. God promises not just physical restoration, but spiritual renewal. The bones coming together symbolize unity, strength, and revival. The breath entering them symbolizes the Holy Spirit. This vision foreshadows the ultimate restoration through Christ, who brings life to the spiritually dead. For believers, it is a promise that God can revive our faith, our communities, and even the most hopeless situations. Restoration is never impossible when God is involved. This vision isn't just ancient history. Its lessons apply to modern life. Many people face valleys of despair, loss, failure, broken relationships, or hopelessness. Like Israel, we might feel scattered and defeated. Ezekiel's vision reminds us that God is capable of restoring anything. Spiritual revival begins with obedience, faith, and listening to God's words. Each of us can bring life to dead areas of our own lives through prayer, hope, and action. It's a reminder that God's promises are eternal, and His power to revive is limitless. Some misunderstand this passage as a story about zombies or fantasy. That is far from the truth. Ezekiel's vision is deeply symbolic and spiritually profound. The bones represent a nation in despair and the power of God's restoration, not literal undead creatures. They also show the process of obedience and faith, how God works through His chosen servants to bring life where there is none. Understanding the vision's real meaning helps us avoid misinterpretations and focus on its life-changing message. The Valley of Dry Bones has inspired countless sermons, songs, and art over centuries. Spirituals like Dem Bones reflect the imagery and hope embedded in Ezekiel's vision. Artists, writers, and musicians have used this story to convey spiritual revival, resilience, and the power of God. Churches often reference this passage during revivals or times of collective struggle, demonstrating its continued relevance. It's not just a vision from thousands of years ago, it's alive, teaching lessons about hope, faith, and restoration for generations. As we conclude, let the vision of dry bones remind you, nothing is beyond God's power. What seems hopeless can be restored. What is scattered can be gathered. What is dead can be revived. Like Ezekiel, we are called to speak life, trust in God, and witness miracles unfold. Take this message into your life today. Wherever you see a valley of dry bones, whether in your heart, your community, or your world, remember that God's Spirit brings life, hope, and restoration. If this message encouraged you, share it, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to continue exploring the Bible's profound truths.